Huge statement win by Mexico. I'll be the first to say it. I did not predict they were going to win this game, and that was a stupid prediction by me because I think I discounted how insane that stadium was going to be. I mean, 80,000 Mexicans, 80,000 of them just absolutely pouring in their support, love, and passion. And Ecuador had no answer, none whatsoever. Honestly, I was thinking about it. And throughout all of sports, there's always this idea of the 12th man, right? Having a great home crowd and that great support can be that 12th man or that sixth man if you're in basketball, right? That it's just an extra man on the pitch because it is so tough to play away. But I think there's a different level when it comes to international football, especially at a World Cup and your team is good. All due respect to Qatar, but let's be honest, right? Mexico are not only a good team, but you could say with Mexico, they have some talent, but they're not the top 10 most talented team at this World Cup. However, when you have just enough talent and you have this insane home support, that can take you to another level and that can take you further rounds in this tournament. And I think that might be the case for Mexico. On top of that, like I was saying before, international football, away games, it's a different level. And Ecuador just looked like a shell of themselves. Like Ecuador looked like a tinier version of themselves. They played so within themselves at times. They're just scrambling. There was at no point in the game did they feel like the protagonist. Isn't that incredible for a team like Ecuador to never be the protagonist? You gotta show love, show credit, respect to this Mexican side and this Mexican support. And whether you're England or DR Congo, that game on July 5th is gonna be hell. Absolute hell. Before we continue, make sure you guys follow, like, and subscribe. You guys know where to find me in the description on all social platforms, Ollie Footy, but you can click the links in the description to get to my pages. And yeah, again, make sure you guys subscribe. We're on the way to 3K subscribers. Wow. Wow. I'm just blown away by Mexico, genuinely. Because no, this wasn't like a 4-0 win or something, but Ecuador is largely considered the best defense in the tournament. I mean, you're talking about two top tier center backs and a top tier left back, right? Who plays for, one of the best defensive teams in the world at the club level. What for Mexico to do this to them is incredible to me because really Ecuador's defense was off tonight. It wasn't until the second half where they really started to hatch things down and settle down, but it might have been too late at that point. And in my predictions, I thought, okay, this Ecuador defense will probably not concede. So it's going to be up for the Ecuador attack to make something happen rather than me trusting that the Mexican attackers would make something happen. But boy, was I wrong. Because Joel Ordonez, I mean, he decided to take the night off or something. Maybe the lights were too bright. I don't know what the case was, but the way Ecuador were pressing, they were basically playing offside in the opponent's half, which, by the way, you can't do if you didn't know. And you leave Quinones just absolutely free, roaming into space. Pacho has to trail behind, and all of a sudden, Mexico are up 1-0. And when that goal went in, the way that stadium shook, the camera shook. You felt it, man. The vibrations, the vibes. Goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. And then that second goal was just another Ordonez blunder, in my opinion. He tries to clear it, misses his clearance. All of a sudden, like 2 passes later, Raul Jimenez is basically in the middle of the box. Easy goal for him. He's gonna cook that every time. And yeah, from there it's just too late for Ecuador. I really believe so because look, I didn't think this Mexican attack were gonna be able to score on this defense, but you know, I also realized that Ecuador's attackers weren't necessarily putting chances away this tournament, right? Outside of the absolute do or die game versus Germany, they didn't score. They didn't score a single goal. So they scored 2 goals in this tournament, and that was versus Germany. And outside of that, they didn't score. So for me, I knew it was going to be tough for the Ecuadorian attack to get something on the board, but I trusted them more to do so because I thought this Mexican back line would be more prone to a mistake or prone to letting in a goal compared to Ecuador. But hey, man, that just shows you football surprises you each and every time. And yeah, Ecuador pretty much had no answer. You know, they had a few chances, but I can't tell you that Mexico didn't deserve to win this. Absolutely, fully deserve to win and go to the round of 16. And yeah, watch out if you're England, if you're Congo. Woof, woof. This side has something for anyone. I'm so serious. Wow. Look, even if they don't play in Mexico, that's the scary thing. You know what's cool? If you don't follow CONCACAF, you might not know this, but there is a huge Mexican population in the US. So when Mexico plays in the US or in Mexico, their games are sold out, full of fire, no matter what. So if you think this is going to stop, this kind of atmosphere is just going to stop because they leave Mexico City, you got another thing coming to you. Now, obviously, they have to get through England or Congo for us to even get to that conversation being real. However, with this kind of atmosphere, they could do something special even against the likes of England. And I have England as my winners. However, football, football will football. You know what I mean? Football will football. We've seen England struggle against the likes of Ghana and even Panama for as meaningless as that game was, they still struggled. So you take a team like Mexico, I don't know, man. There's a chance. And I'm not trying to write Congo off because England could easily struggle against them and lose. But I do not want to play this team. I think even France would have had trouble coming into Mexico City and leaving with a win. Because the scenes here are incredible. This is absolutely mythical stuff here, man. Feels like the Anfield of international football. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And I predicted this game was going to have the best ambiance, the best atmosphere. But then I'm still blown away. My goodness. Vamo L3. We got to shout out Ecuador because they did make it this far, but man, it's for you to go out like that is a little disappointing considering defense is where you kind of made your bread and butter. You weren't going to concede. That was what you could count on with this team. Now they got to go back, and for Ecuador, it's about if you can get some attackers through the pipeline. Kendry Paez came on tonight, didn't offer too much, but it kind of shows you like at one point Paez was supposed to be the guy for Ecuador, and now he's coming off the bench when you would imagine, 2 years ago, I think he was starting Copa America games. And 2 years ago, you would imagine he'd be starting World Cup games. And now, his career hasn't necessarily panned out in the way we all thought. But yeah, for Ecuador, it's going to be, can we get some better attacking talent through the ranks, because that's what they're gonna need. They can't score, and if you can't score, you're not gonna win games. You're not gonna don't even bother thinking about World Cup knockouts. Really, they barely got here. If they had a tougher group, and to be fair, the group was still pretty tough, right? Ivory Coast and Germany, no joke, and Curacao is still a very good CONCACAF team as well. But if Ecuador want to do something of note, they're gonna have to get an attacker, man. They're gonna have to somehow, develop one, get Paez to that way. I don't know what you do. It's always tough, making fixes for international football because your hands are usually tied most of the times. But that's what it's gonna take. That's what they're missing. Still, I hope the Ecuadorians are proud. Still a journey where you saw the resilience of this team to go and beat Germany when you needed to qualify. That was huge, a huge win that will live on in Ecuadorian football. And yeah, it's unfortunate they're out now, but hey, this Mexican side, incredible. And let's also speak on Hincapié. I mean, I know the game was pretty much over, so I guess maybe he said, "All right, F it, I'm just gonna, cover my mouth and talk anyway." I wonder if this red card carries over to like friendlies or something, but I just thought that was kind of funny. He just like, yeah, all right, I'll do it, because everyone knew now, like this Vinny rule is real. Don't do that. But I digress. Ecuador out. Mexico, man, they got some stuff to look forward to. Quinones absolutely blown me away. I know he was good. He's been doing very well in Saudi Arabia, but I did not know he was moving like this, man. He's low key one of the underrated stars of the tournament. He's having a great tournament so far. We'll see how he does against England. But man, this Mexican side, they've got the juice. I think they've got the juice. Dark horse. Is that weird to say about Mexico? I don't know, but they're the host, so it's weird maybe. But they're in that dark horse category where they can really do something. Mexico, Colombia, Norway, those are my dark horses right now. You know, we'll see if I'm thinking of a different dark horse here with Algeria because I think they got a little something. Senegal might have a little something too. You could call them a dark horse. I'm not sure though because I wouldn't consider Morocco a dark horse. If Morocco's not a dark horse, is Senegal a dark horse? I don't know. But let's not get too far away from the point here. This Mexican team, they got a lot to look forward to. Hey, they're gonna be tough to beat. They're gonna be tough to beat. And yeah, I don't think we were quite prepared for what this team was gonna offer us. With that being said, thank you guys so much. Shout out Mexico, Vama L3. I'm very excited to see them hopefully get an upset versus England. That's what I'm going to predict. I expect England to beat Congo. And yeah, I think that game versus England is going to be huge. Huge. Man, fireworks. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Oh, this is the World Cup, man. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy, Ollie Footy. Until next time, we out.